Usamos estampillas también.
You are now tuned in to your number one radio station.
Violent people.
Radio.
Welcome to Violent People Radio, number 30. This is Dan. I am joined by a man that knows GCW like the back of his hand. He would die for Brett's brand. It's Pat. How you doing, Pat?
I'd die for Brett's brand, but not for Brett.
No, I made a clear distinction.
I have no loyalty to humans, but I am very much a stand-up for the GCW branding and corporation type. I'm like that
also,
Hulu ad where it's like, I'm not a wrestling fan.
Oh, I haven't seen that. There's a Hulu wrestling ad.
This was years ago when Hulu was, and we'll get to you, Chris. Sorry, but this is important. Hulu was like just starting to show WWE shows, so they had a commercial that they aired in, I think, 11 million times of a guy getting a tattoo of like the 2014 era WWE logo. And, saying with great importance and words like, I'm not a wrestling fan. I'm a WWE fan.
Ooh. Yeah, I just don't pay. I barely pay attention to wrestling. I can't be watching commercials. I got to give Chris a good one, too. He helped violentpeople.co out of the gate. His Lucha Roundups are never late. It's Chris. How's it going, Chris?
That's true. No lies detected.
If it rhymes, it's true. You don't even need to say it.
Facts only.
It would be so funny if you backdated the next Lucha Roundup post. Like you posted it and then just changed the date to whenever.
That would be
September 7th.
You're just like, I posted at the time, but I thought I'd flag it again for you guys to check out.
Yeah, for some reason it didn't get a lot of attention at the time, so
didn't get the numbers. Didn't get the numbers all our other stuff's doing.
Triple Mania just killed everyone's interest in Lucha.
Impossible.
Yeah, Lucha's dead. You will notice we don't have Sam. I asked him for an update right before the show started, but he's been under the weather. And I don't want to misquote the man. Let's see. Shitting blood. So yeah, he can't be here this week.
Yeah, the votes that people cast in the VP 2010s were so bad that it made him physically ill.
I'm not sure if I mentioned it on air because Sam has to go through and make sure, everything's spelled right. All the wrestlers are linked. I don't understand how it works. But he was complaining about my spelling and I was ready to push back on it. And I pulled it up and, spoiler, AJ Styles is pretty high on my list. I misspelled Styles. So the guy's got a lot to work with. When you
said you had misspelled AJ Styles, I was really hoping you had misspelled AJ. Like you had voted for like AH Styles or something.
AK Styles. He's pretty good.
Keeps that thing on him.
So how you guys doing? Anyone here shitting blood? Or you guys probably doing better than Sam?
No, I'm just shitting regular shit.
All right.
Sorry.
It is what it is. I'm not shitting at all. I quit it out. Cut it out.
Yeah, I'd rather not talk about it.
I mean, we've definitely talked about it in past episodes. I can go back and chart it. It's been early on. It was a lot of hot dog and shit talk, I believe.
Yeah, we haven't talked about bodily functions in a while, and I'm okay with that.
Oh, okay.
When you eat that many hot dogs, it does do horrifying things to all kinds of processes in and out of your body.
I mean, I feel like I'm not, this is like every human in December, but I've been insanely busy. Like it feels like we just recorded. I have not watched much wrestling at all. Not done everything and done nothing.
I've watched a decent amount of wrestling, but I am on like a super deadline to get the January Lucha Roundup, because August is already posted, you know. Get that done.
Now you're going on vacation, correct? Is that a
Yes.
Where are you going? When are you
I'm
doing
leaving
that?
Sunday. I'm just going to Michigan. Going home.
Nice, that's fun. Yeah, we haven't discussed it, but obviously there won't be a VPR next week because of we record this on Wednesday, so that's Christmas. So I'm gonna go ahead and say we're all spoken for.
Yeah,
I will be.
I have plans.
On Christmas Day, you will go to violentpeople.co to see the results of the tables, ladders, and chairs poll. So you guys have like a week to get your votes in on that.
If there comes a time where we're all getting together to record on December 25th, just shut it all down. Feels like we can find better stuff to do on that day. But I guess Chris, you watched a lot of wrestling.
We gotta get like an audience with us on December 25th.
Just like just
we're all doing it via Twitch, so that there are people in the chat like watching us watch WCW videos instead of being with their families.
Yeah, so there's so many people. Well, actually, most of our Discord is our kids, so they're probably not allowed to. But the ones that have kids, it's really sad. It's like, no, honey, you got to take them for a while. These guys are watching FMW.
Oh,
but yeah,
and
Chris,
we're
you
banned
watched a lot of
again.
wrestling. What do you? Oh, it's that fast. Wild Thing. Damn it. But what wrestling do you watch if you watch so much, bragging about it?
Well,
Can you talk about it? Yeah.
Like you'll see that next week we pushed it to, which I'm cool with because I'm still working on it. I was gonna get more done earlier this week and have it ready to go, and then I got really drunk during the Lions game. I got really drunk during that game. Because I don't take it really well, I guess, when everyone on the team just gets injured all the time and then they lose. So I just got really drunk and then slept for like 12 hours. It was awesome.
That is
except the part where they lost and then everyone got hurt.
Yeah, it's a good time of year for everyone to get hurt too, right?
Yeah, right before the playoffs.
Yeah. One, that's a good game to get drunk to, but I guess we need to update the fans. Officially, Sam came in last place between the three of us. Because me and you were going to meet in the semifinals, and you just beat Sam. So he is going to be, I guess, watching WrestleMania and doing something.
That's right.
What do you think the odds are that we actually get Sam to type words about WrestleMania?
Ooh.
Because he can actually pull the plug on the site, so he might. He might just be like, no. But that was the original punishment, I believe, which I'm now like, now that I know that I'm not, doing it, I fully agree with.
I mean, it could have been worse. It could have been like you have to watch like The Collective.
That's true.
The grass is always greener. All right. So, did you watch any non-Lucha or non-August Lucha?
I watched this company called AEW. You heard about these guys?
I'm gonna pull up their cage match real fast.
Speaking of people who get injured right before the playoffs.
Yeah,
that's just a little joke about their entire roster.
Yeah. They've got their Continental Classic tournament happening right now. And I was told that I should watch some matches from this tournament. And I was shown some matches from said tournament.
And how do you feel about this?
You know, I enjoyed some AEW wrestling.
Oh,
It was pretty good.
okay.
Most of it was all from like the first week of December. I watched Okada versus Mark Briscoe. A very good match. Daniel Garcia versus the Beast Mortos. Darby Allin versus Commander. Kyle Fletcher versus Okada. Mark Briscoe versus Daniel Garcia, and Will Ospreay versus Claudio Castagnoli. And I enjoyed all of those matches.
I was gonna say I've only watched Mark Briscoe and Darby Allin matches so far, and that's a good way just to not be disappointed.
Yeah, Mark Briscoe, one of the most consistent guys in AEW, even when he's just thrown in a random trios match with like the husk of Ishii. So when he's given like singles matches that technically matter, they're even better.
And this is kind of like pulling you away from what you're talking about, but I don't know if it was on Twitter or on a Discord or where it was, but someone was talking about the Mark Briscoe versus Jay Briscoe greatest wrestler ever case. Like, is there a scenario, but I think most people pretty have Jay firmly ahead. Is there a scenario where Mark continues this run where he can ever surpass Jay?
I think the emotional loss of Jay gives him a gigantic advantage that I'm not sure any amount of actual wrestling can overcome.
That's kind of where I'm at, yeah.
But I've been watching some of the recent Mark Briscoe Continental Classic stuff, and the conclusion I've come to is I love Mark Briscoe for the same reason I love LA Park. And I got to thinking about that, and Mark Briscoe in AEW really kind of fulfills the same role, the same almost style in his matches that LA Park does when, in the matches where like Park like gives a shit and wants to try.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like doing like the kung fu pose, the way he plays to the crowd, the energy of his selling. There are a lot of comparisons to be made between Mr. Adolfo Tapia Ibarra and Mr. Mark Briscoe, whose real name I forget.
Yeah, sorry to go on that tangent. You can keep going about the Continental Classic. I just was really thinking about that. I think for me, it's like no matter how good he is, I'm probably too emotionally connected to Jay. Like maybe 6 years down the road, I'll put Jay at whatever number he is and Mark right underneath him. That's probably the best I can get with Jay or Mark.
Yeah, I mean, both guys I have always been high on. Two of the best wrestlers of their generation. And Jay has always just had, throughout their career, this like stronger singles pushes. Until now that Jay is just no longer with us. But Mark has always just been an exceptional singles wrestler on his own. And now he's just getting opportunities to prove that. And yeah, it's hard to really say, but yeah, I think the emotional impact of Jay and his death and like what that like how that impacted so much of the people that grew up watching him, that's a tough hurdle. But I mean, they're really neck and neck. So I don't really care.
That's fair.
Yeah, when I do my GWE ballot, they're gonna be right next to each other. So,
and I will be putting Commander right above both of them.
But yeah, I mean, I haven't like watched all of the tournament uh as you heard me list those matches. You did not hear me mention a Ricochet match. You did not hear me mention a Brody King match. But like I watched that Darby Allin Commander match, and boy, it was really great. Not having seen any AEW in a long time, except for the QT Marshall, AJ Bufumo match, and being reminded that, hey, Darby Allin is probably the best wrestler in the world.
So I got to
And
jump in there, and I got to speak up on behalf of Ricochet versus Commander. That was actually a good match. Ricochet got out there, like if it had been Ricochet versus Juice Robinson, like it was originally scheduled, I'm going to be honest, I would not have watched the match. But Ricochet versus Commander woke something up. Ricochet was like, oh, okay, I'm in direct competition with like the younger, newer me. And Commander is there to, he's aware of the kind of spotlight he's receiving, so he's cranking it up. So Ricochet started cranking it up too, and it was easily the best Ricochet match I've seen in years.
okay, I might go back and watch some more. I'm definitely going to be keeping I haven't seen Mark Briscoe versus Shelton Benjamin, which I heard was really good. So I'm gonna watch that eventually. Um so I'm gonna go back and watch more. Maybe I'll check that out.
How was Claudio Ospreay? You said you watched that.
Yeah, I thought that was actually really good. Um I think I'm the high vote on Ospreay as far as this podcast goes, and as far as the Violent People community goes. Maybe not the highest vote on Ospreay in general, but like one of the higher votes.
I think
Uh,
by the time he's a dozen episodes in, Cole with his progress thing will be the high. He'll have come around.
True. Um, but I thought Claudio looked a lot more locked in than he has in a singles match that I've seen him in a really long time. Which was very nice to see. Because I have kind of he's kind of just been a guy, and I've kind of been bored by Claudio. Like I have no interest in watching Claudio versus Brody King. But I saw him versus Ospreay. I was shown that match, and I was just like, yeah, that was pretty cool. That was a nice that was a like that was a really rock solid tournament match. You don't like get too much of the with the time limit. You're not too much wrapped up in the Osprey like real Osprey bullshit like a pay-per-view match.
Yeah, he can't do the New Japan main event. Like both guys are laying on the mat for 5 minutes, selling how exhausted they are.
But yeah, I thought that was one of Claudio's better efforts in a while, and I liked Osprey in that match too. I'm a bigger Osprey fan than most. And yeah, I liked both Okada matches that I watched. Fletcher as Randy Orton sure is interesting. I don't think it's great, but it worked fine against Okada. I liked.
Yeah, Fletcher.
I'm
I'm
not a
still trying to
huge.
figure out what Fletcher's deal is now. Like, is he just like now that he's a heel, he's gone from being Baby Osprey to now he's just like Baby Orton?
Yeah. Yep. That's pretty much what it is. And I have like for most of Daniel Garcia's run in AEW, I haven't loved him. I think he's had good matches, but I thought he was really good in uh both the Okada match and the Mark Briscoe match. Or not the Okada match. The Beast Mortos match and the Mark Briscoe match. I thought he's like trimming a bit of the fat in his offense. He's selling really well. I think he's really putting it together, which is really promising to see. And it's gonna be great to see him like me become more of a fan of him, and then AEW is gonna fuck it up.
Well, I mean, with Garcia, that'll be what, like the fourth time they've done that with him?
Yeah, exactly.
I was just gonna say I wish AEW had been less. Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say I wish AEW had been less horrible. Oh. Go ahead.
Is he still PWG champ?
Yes,
I think so, but I mean, their PWG's not like running
963 days and counting, dominant.
I was saying this might be the closest thing we have to Bola.
But I was gonna say I wish they'd been better because I kind of considered going to the Collision in Columbus when they moved to the GalaxyCon conventions, like where they were doing the comic convention at the convention center, and they moved to that because they didn't have any tickets selling at the Nationwide. Because I was like, that's fun. That's like we can go to the Comic-Con and see wrestling. But I was in Columbus like the weekend before that, or 2 weeks before that, and then it was Thanksgiving, and AEW's AEW, so I just couldn't pull the trigger. And then I was like, I really would have liked to see Darby Allin Commander live.
Yeah, that is a great match.
Anything else you watched you want to cover?
No, it's just the AEW, and then watch out for I don't know, like when we're going to end up like posting the Lucha Roundup, because of the holiday, like what we're going to decide is the ideal.
It
But
could
watch
be
out for
Monday,
that
but I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I would assume it's Monday because that's like it's not Christmas Eve; it's the day before Christmas Eve. So, like, why not just post it then? So I'd assume Monday, but watch out for that for thoughts on Fishman and Demus and all our favorite guys.
The official certified most badass wrestler of 2024, Fishman.
That's right.
Before I kick it over to you, Pat, I'm going to go ahead and spoil that one of the things you've watched is Battleground Championship Wrestling, a company out of Philadelphia.
That's the only thing I'm going to talk about in my section.
Well, I'm going to say that you sent the link to us because you gave your hard-earned money to not Rob Feinstein, we promise, at the Patreon
It's
to watch
Timothy Ambler,
this.
or whatever his name is.
And you sent a link, because I guess it's just a link that you can send anyone. You sent a link, and you asked us if we wanted to check some stuff out from the show. Do you know how intimidating it is to be sent a link from a Rob Feinstein promotion that's 4 hours long? I almost
On the other
fainted
hand,
when I
though,
opened it.
like 45 minutes of that is just like pre-show.
Oh, yeah, at least.
You know,
but I didn't know that when I opened it. I was like, holy
the most
shit, what is he
fucking
sending
annoying
me?
music they could have possibly picked.
And they played it over and over. I kept skipping forward, and it was just the same song.
The Patreon has like fully edited VODs of the shows once they actually do the editing. And their July show, like the final edit of that is like 2 hours, 10 minutes.
Yeah, that sounds right. Because every time I was clicking forward, because I only watched 2 of these matches, and I'll let you go match by match. But I kept clicking around, and I was always at the same match graphics with the same song over and over again. It took me forever to find what I was looking for. But yeah, take it
That
away. Talk
song
about
burned into
and
my fucking brain.
BCW and To All a Good Night.
And to all a good night, December 14th, 2024 at the 2300 Arena. So I've got a question for you, Dan, since you are the Facebook guru. Why? So their champion until October was Lance Anoa'i, or however you say it, the of the Samoan dynasty. And then he vacated the title in October. And I'm just like, was there some kind of Facebook drama that would have caused that to happen?
No,
Do you know
they
of
signed
any?
WWE signed him.
Oh, okay. Oh,
They
that's
thought
what it is. Okay.
they thought, hey, we haven't wanted him for what 15 years that he's been wrestling and been mid at best, but you got to keep the
Yeah,
bloodline
so
going. Come on down.
on their July show, the main event was Lance winning the title from Brian Kendrick. And I don't know how the Brian Kendrick has been looking in Noah lately, but in July, it looked like they found him in an alley and handed him a title belt.
Now, those are the only two champions before, or no, I guess there's only been three champions. Brian Kendrick, then Lance vacates it, and we have our current champion, B-Boy.
But at the October show, the match to decide the new champion was B-Boy versus VSK. So those are the, like, that's, this is a promotion where they're like, well, we need to decide a new world champ. Who do we choose between B-Boy and VSK?
Well, I'm looking at the results
So,
now. It's also funny that match is second from the top. They didn't make it the main event, and in this show, they put the world title on first.
well, maybe Matt Tremont had to be somewhere, but they did. So the first match on the show, world title match, Matt Tremont versus B-Boy. Not great. Tremont is he's struggling. And every time I watch him now, I just get more and more worried about that fucking, like, he's got like a cross between a donut and like a horse anus on his head now. And I just keep thinking like that fucking thing's gonna burst. Like he's just, gonna spray staph all over everyone. And he and B-Boy were throwing some really bad punches in this match. Like, stuff where it's like the punch was just solid inch between like Tremont's fist and B-Boy's face. Still would have looked crappy if they had just been actually punching each other in the head, but it wouldn't have looked as crappy as this did. And it's funny because they throw these terrible fucking worked punches, and then 5 minutes into the match, they're doing like completely unprotected chair shots. So, recommendation to avoid. Then we had a three-way between Isaiah Wolf, VSK, and Facade. And, who gives a shit, really? Facade, our friend from JCW, he unfortunately did not win. Isaiah Wolf did. But all of that is swept under the carpet because the third match for the women's world title, it is Danny Moe as champion defending against the librarian, Leva Bates.
Ooh.
Who came out in a Grinch snuggie and worked the entire match in it.
Now, this match is for people that thought JCW running Danny Moe versus Alice Crowley was too good of a match.
Yeah, this is for like the people who are like on pills and can't really process information that their brain is receiving. People who have mentally like battered themselves down to a state where they just need to see colors moving on a screen. Because that's really all this provided. You can see a green figure moving around. And not moving all that gracefully. But speaking of not graceful movement, we then had MVP, star of Bloodsport 12, versus Wrecking Ball Legursky. And I'll say this for MVP, he's trying. But, that's all I can say is he's trying. Before we get into the next match, which is obviously MVP went over in like 6 minutes. But before we get to the next match, they were doing some really weird stuff with time limits on this show. Did you notice in Crowbar versus Vampiro, they announced it with a 10-minute time limit?
I did hear that, and I thought maybe that was like a medical thing.
Yeah, I mean, it probably is for half the raw. I mean, you can't have MVP go for more than 10 minutes. But no, most of the matches had a 10-minute time limit, which they announced at the start of the thing. But yeah, so that gets to match number 1 that I know Dan watched, which is a battle of 2 WCW stars, Crowbar, accompanied by his wife Vanessa and his sidekick Facade, versus Vampiro, accompanied by no one and nothing. And Dan, what did you think of these guys meeting for the first time in 24 years?
Well, obviously, this was a big deal. We're all waiting for, Vampiro versus Crowbar again. At one point, I just, for shits and giggles, put it on 2 times speed, and it legitimately almost looked like a wrestling match at that point. Like, if you times it by 2, Vampiro almost moves like a professional wrestler. He walks around the ring, and Crowbar hits him, and Vampiro makes faces, but the faces don't really correlate to whether or not he's being hit. And it went 9 minutes, and part of that I watched at 2 times speed, and I would have told you it went 29 minutes. It went forever.
But the time I have written down is 9 minutes and 11 seconds.
That's apt.
So
I don't know if you have thoughts on it, but yeah.
The 10-minute time limit.
The finish was what was the finish?
The
it's
finish
a fuck finish
was
yeah.
Vanessa gets in the ring, and Vampiro, being the babyface, puts her in a chokehold. And Facade tries to lariat Vampiro from behind, but in his one display of athletic prowess, Vampiro ducks out of the way. And Facade very gingerly gives Vanessa a lariat. And in that confusion, Crowbar hits Vampiro in the nuts and rolls him up. Which is actually, I went back and looked at their history on Cage Match. That is Crowbar's first career win over Vampiro in a singles match. They faced off in like 6 singles matches in WCW, and Vampiro won all of them.
I'm actually shocked that Vampiro let Crowbar go over, if I'm being honest. It's so funny because I don't really follow what Devin Storm is doing, but I know that there's a lot of Twitter stuff, right? That he tweets all the time about pro wrestling, and that he is. I didn't know a lot of people last year were talking about how Devin Storm wrestled everywhere, and he's, a wrestler's wrestler, and he has all these opinions on wrestling. And the post match in this, which I guess a lot of people probably focus on Vampiro talking about how he had, was it 9 years ago, he got diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and
9 years ago he got diagnosed with Alzheimer's and was given 4 months to live. Or,
yeah,
like yeah.
But what gets me is Crowbar comes out and he literally says, "Do you guys mind if I pull back the curtain? Is that going to ruin the wrestling for you? Can I stop being mean? Can I be real for a minute?" And it's like, and then goes on and talks about how great Vampiro is and how he worked with him when he was Devin Storm and he was young, and he helped him out. He didn't eat him up like he could, but which is fine. But like, if you know that you want to give that post match speech, why work the match that way? Why have the finish be you low blow him, schoolboy him, and then they run away? They run out of there. Like, I got to get out of here because I'm running away with my win. I don't want to get beat up by Vampiro. But then he comes out and talks about how great he is, and they hug, and it's just like, I don't know. I feel like
one of my favorite parts of this was right at the start when Vampiro is in the ring and they're doing the ring announcements. And did you watch that part where Crowbar like has to go up to Vampiro and like go for a handshake like 5 times?
Yeah,
because he's so clearly trying. Like, they clearly did not go over anything backstage. He's so clearly trying to say like, okay, this is how we're going to start the match.
No, and then he bum rushes them during his introduction, but like we watched them plan that out.
Yeah, exactly. And then they immediately spill to the outside where they are again, just like pushing each other up against a guardrail and just like talking for 30 seconds.
What's so great about the speech that Crowbar gives, talking about how Vampiro is a legend and deserves all this praise, is that Vampiro is not like watching him or making eye contact. He's just kind of like wandering around, not looking at him, like not interested in the least.
That's what he was doing during the match too, to be fair.
That's fair.
Like the Vampiro's selling is so good because imagine what it would be like for him to no sell stuff. Like his idea of selling is like he like cranks his head to one side and kind of makes a face like there's a fly buzzing near him, or like you can almost imagine like you stomp on his hand and like break his fingers, and his reaction is just like, ah, jeez.
Crowbar does this cool spot where he kind of like puts him in a cravat and rubs his, his with his throat or his face across the top rope, which I thought, yeah, that looks kind of cool. But Vampiro is walking in slow motion and not grimacing or selling it, or just like he's just acting like they're going for a stroll. I'm like, I bet that looks cool when someone sells it.
Yeah, I think that was like 5 minutes into the match. So Vampiro was probably just struggling for beer at that point.
That's fair. But yeah, I appreciate you sending me my way to watch. This was something.
Yeah, I think this is an honorary December Lucha Roundup early pick.
Now, I was disappointed that he didn't come out and say, "This is my retirement match from the ECW arena." I want to do that gimmick in America too. I just start retiring from every city.
He should go around to all the arenas that WCW ran, like whatever they're called now. He goes around. He's like, I'm retiring from, but giving the name of it from like 25 years ago. Anyways, nothing could follow that match. So unfortunately, what did follow it is the blackout of Myron Malone, Robbie Marino, and Ruckus versus Joel Gertner's Sex with Your Next Ex Express of Christian Ross, Undercover Lover, and Chris Slade. So one of the big storylines in Battleground Championship Wrestling is Joel Gertner has a faction. This is a big deal for some reason, and it gets time on every show. I cannot tell you why, but it does. And the blackout won. So the one guy who was wearing a blackout shirt in the crowd, I'm sure he went home happy.
Now, I'm not familiar with Myron Malone really, but I will say you're lucky because we covered in the past. You could have got Ruckus, Robbie Marino, and then current blackout member James Ellsworth.
That's true. The Undercover Lover, by the way, is the same guy as the Philadelphia Playboy. I guess when he's wearing a lucha mask, he is Undercover Lover. Okay. But following that, we had a BCW title #1 contender match. So the next challenger for B-Boy decided in a match between Rich Swann and Samurai Del Sol.
Ooh, now, this 205 Live.
Yeah, so this match was announced with a 10-minute time limit. You want to guess how long the match ran without looking at cage match?
I will say I already had the cage match open.
8 minutes.
It's the final time was 14 minutes and 41 seconds out of a 10-minute time limit.
Pro wrestling is the best sport in the world.
So that's not the first time limit shenanigan on this show. But Rich Swann, he won. And I spent most of the match kind of worrying about Rich Swann, like, a show where like Drake Younger and Nick Gage and, God knows what kind of stuff is going on backstage. Rich Swann just got out of rehab. So I'm hoping he's taking care of himself.
Rich Swann's only 33 years old.
Woo. That's crazy.
It feels like he's been around forever.
He has been.
Feels like it's been.
I mean, yeah, I guess he just has. Yeah, like he just started when he was a baby.
He's got the short hair now, and it, like the short hair and the beard, he's somehow managed to make himself look 10 years older.
Now, yeah, I don't want you to spoil how you feel about the main event, but what is the best match on the card up till this point? Is it this Rich Swann?
It's Rich Swann and Samurai Del Sol, because they just go out there and they do like an indie match. They're playing to the crowd. They pull off a couple moves, but they're not going too hard. They're doing like dancing spots. They're brawling ringside. Like it's what you would expect from an indie. You know, if you went to AIW and they said, "Here's Rich Swann and Kalisto," it's like the same match you would expect from that. So I
it's
would
great.
say, yeah, it's the rest of the show is a pretty low bar, but I would say that is the best of the bunch.
If you're actually sitting in the crowd for a show like this, I gotta imagine if you're like, an actual like a fan like us, like you see Rich Swann and Samurai Soul, and you're like, oh, thank God. Like, imagine that's your
Not even
reprieve.
that, like
That's what you get.
they were fucking dead the entire night. Like this, it was like this crowd paid for the privilege of like sitting there and not saying or doing anything.
I will say that we normally cover the GCW and the JCW, the CWs, and most of the time, or not most, at least a lot of the time, those crowds, they're into what they're seeing. They're into the garbage they're being fed. Where these people were
this
hostages,
show,
I assume.
yeah, it was like there was one guy in the front row who you could see in just about every shot, and he was just sitting with his arms folded over his stomach and making this face like he was like watching someone try to kill a cat.
Now, I don't want to judge too much though, because someone one time sent me a screenshot of them watching an AIW show, and I'm sleeping in the second row. So,
I mean, you would have fit right in this crowd. There was one person who was there in the front row early on in the show, and I'm pretty sure they just left halfway through because I started noticing an empty chair.
like, what did that person expect when they bought the ticket?
Yeah.
And what's crazy is when you buy the ticket, you're buying the ticket for the main event, Drake Younger versus Nick Gage. Like, if there was a reason you would go to this show, that would be it. So to leave before that's crazy.
Also, at some point, I think it was before Crowbar versus Vampiro, there was an intermission where the promoter came out and was throwing T-shirts to people and announced that he got engaged.
Yeah, I know, because I said it's a 4-hour file. I skip around the first 45 minutes, and it's all just the match card. And I skip ahead, it's the match card again during the middle of the show. Skip ahead, and it's the intermission. I'm like, did they wrestle at this event? And I finally found.
Well, I mean, with those strict 10-minute time limits, you got to fill time somehow. But the main event of the show for the BCW Philadelphia Street Fight title, the champion, Drake Younger, defending against the god of the shit, Nick Gage. Dan, why don't you walk us through the emotional journey that these two men led us on?
Judging Nick Gage by how Nick Gage looked when I saw him, what was it, 6-ish months ago? When I don't know, last time maybe 7 earlier in the year in GCW. He actually looked physically better.
He's more trim, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's definitely slimmed down. And Drake Younger, I think, has actually been okay this year. Not great, but like better than people are expecting for 40-year-old Drake Younger with all he's been through to look. And so they both look like, when you see them, if you haven't watched them since, whenever, because you're not, a freak following Drake Younger and Nick Gage, you're probably like, okay, this might be all right. And then they wrestle for 25 minutes.
Or did they?
Well, you telling me that this wasn't 25 minutes long?
I took a stopwatch because I'm
I got Green Lantern
really
fan.
20 minutes. Yeah, I went the full Green Lantern fan on it. The 20-minute draw that they did was actually 16 minutes and 30 seconds.
Well, actually, is it 20-minute draw or is it 25-minute draw?
Well, then the promoter comes out.
Yeah, but they do the 5 more minutes.
We're going to give you 5 more minutes. And that section, they rang the bell at 2 minutes and 47 seconds.
Okay, that did feel short. I bought the 16 minutes as 20 minutes. Like,
yeah,
I had no problem.
It was a fucking slow 16. Here's a fair question, and maybe let's ask Chris, who hasn't seen this match. If we told you that in 2024 there was a main event street fight between Drake Younger and Nick Gage, like, what would you expect that match to be?
I would expect one of them to be gassed within 5 minutes.
I think both of them were, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm speaking at least.
But would you think like it would be a bloodbath? Do you think they would like go Gonzo, like try to
I'm not
outdo?
expecting anything gonzo. I'm expecting maybe some tubes, but nothing like crazy. Maybe like a couple, like I'm expecting like maybe a high spot is like one pile driver is the high spot. Like that's the maximum you got. Like an ill-advised pile driver through like a door. I'm assuming they're not unless they've got table money.
They didn't for this show. I've seen them on I watched the July show. They had tables for that one. There's one spot where in a match with Crowbar and Facade versus two random guys managed by Gary Wolf, who are like the new pit bulls or something. One of them power bombs Facade through a table at ringside and comes, I want to say, within an inch of just smashing the back of Facade's head into the steel guardrail because the table was pushed up right against it.
Okay.
And that was when I thought, like, oh my God, this really is like 2001 Jersey All Pro Wrestling. Like, this is where the spirit of that kind of promotion has ended up.
I'm I'm always doing my research here, and so I type in Drake Younger, Nick Gage in the Twitter, see what all the buzz is, and I got really worried because someone here gave it 8.5 out of 10. But thank God they're talking about an old Nick Gage Drake Younger match. I about fainted. I was like, "What are you talking about?"
Well, so Chris, you were pretty on the money with how this was a very slow brawl. Drake bled a lot. There were a few bumps. Like one of the high spots was they brawl at ringside, and Drake just goes flying into the front row. Like doesn't care if he hits the fans. And they brought out some doors. They're like doing stuff like trying to stab each other with pieces of the door. Stuff like no tubes though. There was no glass, no light tubes.
A lot of table set up, or not table.
Yeah.
I mean chair set up.
Yeah, chairs and doors and that kind of stuff. And then they were just kind of going slow, taking it at their own pace. And then when the time limit rang out, when the time ran out and they had the 5 more minutes, then they were trying to do like the exchange of like, okay, I'm going to put you in a casita and then I'm going to roll you up and then I'm going to get you in a schoolboy from that, like doing that kind of stuff, which from Drake Younger and Nick Gage, man, in 2024, that is a sight to see. So then they run out of time again. Gage decks the ref, and Drake Younger challenges Nick Gage to an Iron Man match.
Oh boy.
I personally cannot wait. An Iron Man street fight, to be specific.
I just think if I'm Drake Younger, I lived this. I went through this match. Maybe I call an audible, and I challenge him, but I don't specify the Iron Man match part. I go to the back and I go, "Hey, do we think we should do this? Do we think we have that in us?"
I hope that was him going into business for himself.
But I think
being like,
there's no light tubes in this match because I think that Drake is done with death matches, quote unquote. Which I think he's the street fight champion, which I guess is different than a death match, which it is. But like he lost to Akira, and that was in a death match for Ruthless Pro Wrestling. I didn't watch it, but I'm pretty sure that was supposed to be his deathmatch farewell. That show, that Ruthless Pro Wrestling show, by the way, I know we've covered a lot of 440 in the past, featured a six-man tag gang warfare deathmatch. They were promoting as like the end of the faction war, the yellow versus blue. The final 6, the 3 versus 3, ended up being Greg Iron, Otis Kogar, Zach Thomas versus Alice Crowley, Christian Napier, and Vincent Nothing.
So we're pausing this here so we can all go watch this match, right?
Now it's
Yep.
like it really is following like the NWO, where like they're just getting lesser and lesser members, and like that's the focus. Like no Ricky, no Atticus, no Bev, Eric Ryan. It's like no, we can't get any of them. But Greg Iron bled a lot.
And
It looks like
which
on Twitter.
color won?
Yellow.
Okay.
So that's solved now.
So those 44-0 blue shirts, those are going to skyrocket in value.
And I know Dan's got a lot of them.
Oh man. So is that all you've watched? And also, I need to ask: do you have too much money? What's going on with
Yeah,
the
probably.
you subscribe
I
to
have both 2 months.
Thriller and Patreon of BCW?
Well, I'm canceling the Patreon. Like I signed up for it and then like I immediately canceled it. So, but I wanted to watch the show, and it was the only because there is so little buzz on this that people aren't even pirating it.
No, when I tried to search on Twitter, I don't even. It doesn't even look like Battleground tweeted about it really much.
Yeah, their social media presence is all over the like. I have no idea what they're doing. I think they have no idea what they're doing. If you go between all their different accounts on things, they have like websites that don't exist anymore and like profiles that haven't been up to. They streamed one of their shows on Kick, and in the months since seem to have totally abandoned Kick. Like, I don't know what they're doing. I'm going through the same thing trying to find the 7 King of the Death matches from the same night. Speaking of Otis Kobar. Which all I know about it is that the finals of the tournament, which one person did post just the final match on YouTube, Schlack versus Otis versus Hoodfoot. And after winning, Schlack challenged Jun Kasai. So something's going on. Yeah, something's going on in 7, but there's no ability to ever fucking watch it.
I love when there was there was some promotion. I can't remember who it was now. It was some deathmatch promotion where I literally asked them like, "Can I watch this?" And they didn't even reply. I'm like, "Yeah, fuck it." Okay, here you go. You want the Facebook stuff? Here we go. Don't you hate when dozens of pieces of fine glass splinters are embedded under your skin because you refuse to wear tape after you constantly keep foolishly crushing light tubes in your bare hands on purpose? Then when you go to the gym, it's difficult to lift things when said glass stabs the nerves. I thought I was the only one. LOL. That's Schlack. Just goofing around on Facebook.
Who's that?
Just Slack things.
Oh, okay.
Slack stuff.
I thought he said just Black, and I'm like, Rob Black?
Oh no,
What?
that's just Slack. You know,
He's just slacking around.
he has a lot of pictures of the 7 King of the Death matches on his Facebook, and it looks like you could.
I mean, I found a lot of photos. And 7 does release their stuff, but not in any
you can pay for
normal
it.
or
Like,
consistent way.
looks like you can pay for it here on soulstreaming.com. It is a 5-hour
Soulstreaming.com.
Fullstreaming.com.
SOLE streaming.com. It is a 5-hour and 18-minute video. I'm trying to see a price. It doesn't have a price listed. Oh, $15.
Yeah, that's. And is this an
Oh.
official thing, or is this just someone was like there and?
No, it looks like an official thing. I mean, they have they have 2 other shows streaming there. One's free. They stream the free King of the Death match from last year.
Yeah, that one's up on their YouTube too.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm guessing this will end up on their YouTube, but who knows with indie pro wrestling. But yeah, you don't want to just input your credit card information, the soulstreaming.com?
I think 1 per month is for like shady, random. And I mean, at least the Battleground thing is through Patreon, where it's like there's some kind of guarantee of like, okay, I'm my money is passing into Patreon's hands, and then Patreon is dealing with Battleground. I'm not like handing my credit card info to a guy who promises that Rob Feinstein doesn't work with him anymore.
Now it is funny. You're right, because they do not. 7 does not post this link. It looks very official, but like 7 just is like, nah, who cares? But oh man, you got Schlack versus Ninja Mac.
That was that. I want to fucking see Schlack versus Ninja Mac.
Masada versus.
We all want to see
Big
that.
Fist. Big F and Joe versus Bestia 666. I mean, this is probably a fine show. I don't know. It's not a $15 show. Oh,
Yeah,
here
it's
we
not.
go. Journey Fatu versus Arrow Boy. Yeah, good shit.
One thing that they did have on the July Battleground show was Schlack versus, and I feel bad bringing this up when Sam's not here, but in the Philadelphia Street Fight title tournament, it was Schlack versus Juicy Finau, and the entire match was Juicy selling for Schlack.
Awesome.
Just absolutely fucking deranged matches.
So send that on over to Sam. He'll get right on it. Oh, that was in there.
That match also had Kid Cash and James Storm, or not that match, not that show. That show had, all the stars were out in Philadelphia that night.
Kid Cash. He's like, oh yeah, he came back this year. I thought he was done. He wrestled twice this year.
I'm not sure he tagged in the match at all.
Well, that's the way to do it.
It was
support.
It was Joel Gertner's faction versus Matt Tremont, Gary Wolf, aka Pitbull #1, and Kid Cash. And the entire match was the heels working over face in peril Matt Tremont. And the match ended when Gary Wolf got the hot tag and pinned Joel Gertner, who was not a wrestler in the match.
Okay, that's crazy because there's no way that Kid Cash isn't the most mobile member of that.
I know, that was the same. Like, Matt Tremont is twice the size of everyone else in the thing, so they're like, well, clearly what we need to do is beat his ass until he gets the hot tag to Gary Wolf, who looks like fucking Tommy Wiseau. Just, like bonkers stuff on the order of late period ECW when Paul Heyman was really starting to lose his mind. To which I say, wrestling needs more of that. But when you're actually confronted with it, sitting and watching it, you're just like, what the fuck is going on?
I would like to say we thank you for your service. I mean, someone's got to do it. I don't know why, but someone does, and you've done it.
Well, what else?
Outside of that, pretty much watched 3 lucha matches here. I watched El Hijo de Fishman versus Mascara Sagrada NG from 12/1 from December 1st. I watched Claudio Castagnoli versus Hechicero, and I watched Arrow Boy and Violento Jack versus Lunatic Extreme and Lunatic Fly. What do you guys think the worst of those matches was?
Claudio versus Hechicero.
So far, and it made me so sad. Like, you were talking Claudio up, Chris, and I was like, I'm about to rip him in my segment. He is just such a guy, and I don't want AEW in my CMLL anymore. I'm over it. Somehow this was even more insulting than the Jericho thing because I didn't ever expect Jericho and Mystico to have a good match. Or like, I thought maybe, Claudio and Hechicero, this could be a great match. This could be fun. And it's terrible. And they put Claudio over, and it really depressed me. And I didn't watch anything else from that show because people were ripping it apart, and that was the match I was most interested in. And if people are telling me Flip Gordon versus Rocky Romero, that goes 20 minutes as the best match on the show, that's very worrisome.
Yeah, you don't need that in your life.
No, going in when people were praising that match, I was like, that means everything else is terrible.
I mean, it makes sense that Flip Gordon is like, he's not getting offers from anywhere else, so if CMLL gives him a showcase, he's got to step up.
Well, Cubs fans saying he's got like roots down, like he lives in Mexico and is
he's like
he loves it down there and stuff. Yeah, but the Zona 23 show that's it's on IWTV. I only watched the main event, which was that tag match. It is a little long, but it's exactly what you want. It's dirty, it's gross. I wish I watched more Arrow Boy and Violento Jack in 2024 or 2023, just in general. But I am so sure that Chris will be talking about this match in, I don't know, March?
Yeah, probably.
From November, March. I think that's fine. All right.
Yeah, I saw this match happen. I got really excited about it.
It's a little too long. It's like, I know that's a complaint I have a lot with wrestling, because it's like, just tighten it the fuck up. But like, man, this match really, when it peaked and it just kept going. And I'm like, if it ended right there, I'd have way more to say about this match. And then I feel bad because this Fishman Sagrada match is amazing, but it's so weird to me that this is the one that seemed to break through. I know that, like, I think this is the one that the Voices of Wrestling guys talked about. I saw a lot of people on Twitter just really put over this match, and it's great. It's exactly what you want. It's just like, it's the lesser of some of their stuff. It's the lesser of the most bad wrestler of 2024. I like their match from earlier in the year better. I like a few Fishman matches better. But I don't know if it's just that people have just checked in on him for the first time. But this match is awesome. You should watch it. I love the finish. It's a count-out finish, but it's fucking awesome. But what I wanted to do is, when I was pulling this match up, have either of you guys ever been to El Hijo de Fishman's cage match page and read some of the comments?
Yes, it's upsetting.
It's very upsetting. I know I've been to this page a million times. I've never looked at it. And Sam's not here. He'd be mad. He hates when we dunk on bag takes. But I'm going to read this one out loud a little bit. If you locked me into a room and forced me to either have to watch Fishman Jr. matches for an entire week or eat a bowl of rancid, horrible food for the week, then I would choose the food every single time. And then that's a 3.0. He has a 4.0 and then a 0. One of the worst wrestlers currently. All of his matches have the same formulaic brawling bullshit that most people eat up simply because they have not watched enough modern day Mexico City indie matches. I do not understand how you can give this guy high praise, but then shit on others that do the same match formula. And then he lists a bunch of wrestlers that suck compared to the Fishman. It's crazy.
Who's he list? List them.
Oh, okay.
Post list.
Paraff Jr., the Rhinos, and Fresero Jr.
The Rhinos?
The Rhinos. I'm a Traumas guy. I watch a sickening amount of Traumas matches. I actively avoid knowing what Trauma 2 or 1 did. I don't want to know. But every time Fresero's in a match, he makes it 1,000 times worse. Yeah, I thought that was crazy. Because Fishman to me is a guy, like, when these guys have bad reviews, it's weird to me, because it's like, you have to seek these matches out. It's not popping up.
Yeah.
Like, if you are watching IWRG, how is this not the highlight of your fucking day? If you're watching
this guy who gave Fishman a 0, this guy who gave Fishman a 0 gave a 10.0 perfect rating to Shoko Nakajima from Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling.
Okay, well, that explains it. But yeah, I don't really ever even pay attention to the comments, and I pulled it open and I was getting stuff ready for the show. And I'm like, I'm going to talk about that Fishman match. And also, I was like, holy shit. Those are only 3 ratings, by the way. 0, 3, and 4.
The guy who gave a 0 to Fishman gave a 10 out of 10 to Jake Lee.
What?
Okay, that's worse
than Shoko. Shoko is actually good.
That might be a really funny Google account now, actually.
I'm looking at this thing. Ray Kameda gets a 10. Fishman gets a 0. Hirata Morgan gets a 10. Angel Azteca gets a 10. Black Terry gets a 10. Cerebro Negro 10. El Dandy 10. Apollo Dantes 10. Satanico, Pero Guayo, Shelwa, Sin Caras, Jake Lee.
Sin Caras got a 10?
No, it's Cien Caras.
Well, yeah, but he got it. That's crazy to me, too.
This guy was just the definition of a Rudo. His style, while some may call it limited, worked so well because you could just see and feel, or no, he didn't say, because you could just feel the animosity this guy had towards his opponents. He just wanted to kick their asses and piss off the crowd. He had numerous of great Apuestas matches and was a part of one of the best trios of all time. Cien Caras was the total package.
Well,
This
so
guy
you
gives
you
Fishman
get
a 0.
you give that. I was like, if you read me that and you told me this guy gave Black Terry a 10, and you said who does he rank higher, Elio de Fishman or Jake Lee, I would put an insane amount of money on Fishman. That's hilarious.
Julia Hart, 5.0. No review.
I'm actually pretty okay with that. But
Chris, can you vouch for Tonali from IWRG being a 9 out of 10?
I like Tonali. He's not a 9. Tonali is like a solid 7.
Well, not according to this guy.
Like Tonali will probably be like bottom half of my VP 100 this year.
I was like, Chris watches full IWRG shows. Tonali's like, you get excited when you see him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After sitting through some of the shit on their shows, you're like, here we go.
You're sitting through Ivan Rokov versus Estrella Divina.
Let's see that, but
Maybe
yeah,
like
that's
a 7.5.
That's pretty much all I watched in this week. But I feel like we talked a lot of wrestling. I'm almost disappointed in this. Before we went to get the big top, I want to make sure I cover what's going on at the site.
Yep.
I posted the official Violent People holiday gift giving guide, just telling you exactly what to buy for pro wrestling fans, and you should follow it to the T. And I'm also doing a thing where if you buy something that's on the list and send me proof before the end of the year, I'm going to donate that amount to charity, the National Alliance to End Homelessness. And if it's a Violent Person mugs, I'll do double what they cost to charity. This excludes if you buy The Rock's Tequila, anything from Jim Cornette or AEW tickets, because I'm not letting you freaks buy front row tickets. 1, you shouldn't. 2, I'm not made of that kind of money. I think that might be.
I do think that Tony Khan is a coward for not responding to my tweet saying he should buy a mug.
Oh yeah, he won't. Tony Khan won't buy a mug, won't match me, but Al Getz, he's matching my donation. So whatever I end up donating, he will donate it too. I have to look again. I know we're well over. Between me and him, we're well over $300 that's going to get donated at this point, I'm pretty sure. So that's pretty
awesome.
exciting, because we still have almost 2 weeks to go. So you have plenty of time. I have no idea. I'm going to guess it won't get here in time for Christmas, most of these things, but it's 2024. Just tell the adults in your life, like, I got you this. And they'll be excited.
I bought my family the Rock's Tequila and AEW tickets. So.
God, well, what are you going to do? We also had Corro posting on Friday. He posted his recommended matches roundup. Basically invaluable at this point. I mean, you got to check it out if you like wrestling, because it tells you what to watch. And there's so much you don't want to watch, so make sure you check that out.
Yeah, we talk about all of what you don't want to watch on this show.
It is true. The things we talk about never on this list somehow. This is one of his biggest ones ever, I think, or biggest one in a while, it seems like. So a lot of good wrestling's happening. Also, I think that's all that happened at violentpeople.co proper this last week. If your Loss is doing a wrestling playlist, is doing a season of giving, where every day there's 1 or 2 people that post a comp they made of their favorite matches or certain themes. Mine came out today. I retweeted it. Lost tweeted it. So if you get a chance, it'd be cool if you check that out. And next week we'll have Lucha Roundup. I would love to tell you I'd write something, but who knows?
If I'm not mistaken, Loss's Substack, that's paywalled. So, give the people a sell. Like, what was your theme?
I actually think maybe it's not paywalled. You can pay to get access to the footage. I think you just can subscribe for free.
Oh, I did not investigate that hard. I saw a thing saying this is a subscribers only thing. And I'm just like, okay, I'm not paying to get.
I think I could be wrong, but I think you need to subscribe. But like you can subscribe for free. You just got to give them your email address. Okay. But Mine is I did my comp. I love this idea because that's like the era of wrestling I grew up on is, buying comp tapes, Phil Schneider's tapes, Collar and Elbow, Boot Scrape. All these guys would just fill a VHS tape full of grainy footage, and they would basically it was the Coro before there was Coro. It was just like, here's what you need to see. And that's the basic idea behind this. I went for my theme. I went about brothers in pro wrestling. So I got a lot of brothers tag team matches. The Traumas, the Steiners, the Briscoes is like, it's a heavy Briscoe comp. But yeah, if you just sign up for his Substack, you can read what I wrote about it. Which, by the way, I was told 1 to 2 sentences, and then I've been reading them. A lot of people are going way over that, making me feel like I kind of shortchanged it. But I just followed the assignment. But you can subscribe to his Ko-fi or Ko-fi or whatever you call it, and then you get access to all these matches that I talk about. Literally all the matches in Phil Schneider's Way of the Blade. Just basically all the matches. So it's worth the money if you're looking. I mean, if you're the kind of guy that subscribes to Triller or a Battleground Plus Patreon, you should definitely be checking out Loss's Ko-fi, but Ko-fi, whatever you call it. But yeah, I think that's all we have coming up on the site. Sam's working hard between Shitting Blood and I'm Dying. He's working hard on the VP 2010s. Pat, you're still tabulating these results?
Until the 22nd, I think, for Tables, Ladders, and Chairs poll.
And that's a Christmas present for you all. You'll get to read that on Christmas.
Yeah. Maybe.
But yeah, I think that's what's going on.
Preview of the kind of responses I've been getting. Someone who voted for chairs said, "I like to sit on them when no couches are available."
That's a fair point.
The top thing I also asked, do you have a favorite match that highlights the weapon you chose? The top response is no. And following that is no with a period.
Every day, I love the people that come to our website more and more. Just a bunch of maniacs.
Someone who voted for tables gave the reason communism.
I would say that I don't know that I think of tables as communist, but they're more communist than chairs and ladders.
I feel bad because there's one person who wrote like a whole paragraph, like giving an actual thoughtful response, and then it's like right between just like someone else saying like concussions, and that's their entire answer.
They didn't. That concussions might be me. I don't even remember what I wrote. I misunderstood, and I thought I had it.
I don't have the way that they're displayed right now. It's not linked to a name. I could figure out who said what, but I'm not going to. A bunch of people voted using the name PTO.
That's good. You encourage fake names, I believe.
Yeah. I said I didn't encourage them. I said I'd look the other way on them.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I did not pay close enough attention to
the meanest thing anyone did was use the name PTO and then say like, "What's your favorite match?" And it's like all the Omega versus Okada ones. And I just wanted to be like, "Fuck you!" The poll's closed.
Yeah, come on, PTO like Sexy Star.
I do. I do. I'm looking forward to seeing your thoughts on the Sexy Star versus Estraiato cage match, which I'm going to spoil that for you. I want to say it's 15 minutes long, and 13 minutes of it is Sexy Star trying to climb the cage and kicking Estraiato away.
I still haven't decided what's making the list. It could make it.
I mean, it's got to be better than a Rhinos match.
The Rhinos have not made the list. No Rhinos. Don't have even the Pigs in an honorable mention. Pigs really let me down this year.
Yeah.
They kind of like, some people have hated the Pigs the entire time, but was loving the pigs, but they like kind of stopped trying.
Well, yeah,
Their
they're kind
matches
of.
used
It's
to
like
be.
having
They used to be so filled with joy,
Yeah,
and it's all sucked out of them now.
right now. It's like having 4 Fracero Juniors.
Yeah. I watched
Rosero
a match.
Jr. will try sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some of the pigs will try sometimes, but they know what they can do and still get paid.
Yeah,
I like all of us. I'm an LA Park fan. I love LA Park. But I was watching a match with his sons where LA Park is just kind of like he's not in the match. He's not even coming to the ringside. He's in the audience and he's leaning against the wall. And I thought to myself, I've seen LA Park match where this is kind of him in the match.
Yeah.
This is kind of his vibe.
On the other hand,
even on some shows.
I forgive him because he's like 58 years old. His knees are fucked. He's said multiple times he needs knee operations, but he can't afford the time off.
Oh no, but I mean he has the charisma to pull it off too.
Yeah, not helping his knees is the fact that he is like 320 pounds. But I look forward to his late period Keiji Muto phase, where he has to adjust all of his bumps and things to make up for the fact like his legs don't move anymore.
I'm just encouraged by the idea that we're not currently in late period LA Park, which I guess it's
Oh,
lucha.
yeah, no,
It's possible, yeah.
no, we're gonna see 66-year-old LA Park matches.
That rules. But yeah, I think that gets us to the big top. You guys ready?
I'm ready.
It's pretty simple because this is a little gonna let you in behind the curtain with Sam. Not being here tonight, and it's being the holiday season. A little last minute, but wrestling stuff we're looking forward to in 2025. Simple but important topic, and Pat, this was your idea, so I'm hoping that you had something pretty exciting you're looking forward to.
This is where I get everyone listening to go, oh, fuck off, because you know what I'm looking forward to? The WWE network not existing anymore. I'm looking forward to the loss of the library of WWE owned content from their app and from Peacock and everything. And I'm looking forward to it for kind of the same reason you mentioned. You came up on like the curated tapes from like Phil Schneider and whoever else, where you would get a tape and you might not even know what was on it, but you knew that from being on this tape, it had to be something like, I'm hoping against hope, I think, that this will lead to people exploring and having kind of a, because I came up, I want to say like 3 years older than you, probably closer to 6 years older than you, but I had the same experience of like, okay, if I wanted to see stuff that wasn't on Raw or Nitro, I had to get a tape, and I couldn't just ask the world like, okay, what are all the best Ted DiBiase Mid-South matches? Give me a list of all of them, and I'm going to immediately go to like the WWE Network or VK or whatever, and just watch them all, one after the other. I don't know. I feel like there's something incredibly, and this might be just me being old, but I feel like that's how do I want to phrase the kind of ease of it makes it almost more disposable. And you guys feel free to jump in and tell me if I'm just talking out of my ass here.
I don't know that I'm fully looking forward to that, but I do think there's a thing. I mean, we don't have the metrics, but they've long said that people aren't watching the old stuff. There aren't people watching World Class. There aren't even people watching old WWE stuff, it seems like. So I'm of the opinion that if you are the kind of person, like say you're coming up and you're one of these teenagers that we have on our Discord and you want to see some old territory footage, that you'll find it. that like it's not really going to hinder you that much. Like, yeah, obviously it was easier, but I don't think anyone was stumbling upon Peacock or WWE Network old stuff. And it was nice having it there, but I can speak for myself. I don't think I ever utilized it like I thought I would, or like, I mean, I remember being so excited when it first happened. And it's just like, you know, and no one needs to go back and watch old Raws or old SmackDowns for that matter.
You don't. You never do.
You never do. So like, good, get rid of that. Take that off the internet and let them go watch, you know, something good. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to it, but I do agree with you.
I'm hoping that in 2025, the loss of these archives, as far as you know, like WWE Vault does stuff like they pushed out that 3-hour like Macho Man mixtape, which was all just random Macho Man stuff from their library. It had everything from like house show matches to Macho Man versus Ultimo Dragon from an episode of Worldwide, which for a 3-minute match was surprisingly fun. And that's the sort of thing, like, that's the kind of tape I would get where you didn't have someone assuring you, like, oh, this is all of the 4 3/4 up Macho Man Randy Savage matches. It was like, no, these are just the Macho Man Randy Savage matches I think are hoots. And I don't know. I just think that the discourse surrounding wrestling and the way that people immerse themselves in wrestling fandom will hopefully be different for the lack of a WWE network, for the lack of a central, officially sanctioned archive. I mean, the people who want to find this stuff are still just going to find it all on VK and on Billy and torrents and whatever else, but it's still going to be out there. But I think there's something to be gained from having to search for it, to having to know you want it enough to seek it out.
I've seen a lot of complaints. I think I might have even complained at first, because it is silly that WWE Vault will sometimes be like, here's this match that's been on WWE YouTube for 15 years. But in the same way, it is kind of cool where it's just like, okay, they're going to post John Cena versus CM Punk, which is a great match, but they're going to post it, you know, that it's online on YouTube probably 20 other times. But they posted like, I think it was like an hour or 3 hours, maybe, I can't remember the number, of WCW hardcore matches, which most of those matches are like 6 minutes long. So it's like every hardcore match that ever happened in WCW. And then they post the stuff that, you know, like the dark matches, which haven't been seen before.
That's a tape I would have bought.
Oh yeah.
If that had been a tape on fucking DVD-R or whatever, that was just like, this is just a compilation of all the WCW hardcore matches, I would have been like, okay, if I can buy that or the Kobashi Misawa tape, I'm going with the WCW hardcore.
Territories, you're gonna subscribe anyway. They just have you. So they're like, what's the point? And maybe they think, hey, we'll get more YouTube ad dollars by making them check out WWE Vault every day. So they'll keep posting cool stuff that way. I don't know. That was not what I knew you wanted to talk about that. I did not expect you to fold that into that's what you're looking forward to, and I think that's very funny. What I'm looking forward to.
Well, I mean, you know, what else am I going to look forward to? WrestleMania?
Well, I'm looking forward to Sam talking about it. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to it. It doesn't make any sense, but I know it's going to happen. I am very much looking forward to getting tricked by AEW again. I kind of enjoy being, I think, not just me, I think every AEW fan at this point, we're all kind of Charlie Brown and Tony Khan's Lucy. And I'm going to keep trying to kick the ball. They have such a good roster, and their world's better than their competitor, that I'm looking forward to being like, here we go, a new year. Let's fucking get it. This is gonna be great. There's gonna be no mistakes.
The middle of the year is like their Mania season, like how, you know, WWE would consistently be like, it's Mania season, so we have to like make sure the storylines are all on track and up the stakes on these shows. I want to say starting around Revolution, we're getting into, you know, like spring and summer is when they kind of go like, oh shit, we gotta step things up. And then by the end of the year, they've squandered all that goodwill again.
I will say, speaking of all the streaming we were talking about, that them going to Max live will increase the number of times I watch AEW live by a lot.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Because I have
Yes.
Max. I'm not getting rid of Max. So a Wednesday's gonna
Yeah,
actually,
it's
you know
not
what?
like a
We record on Wednesdays, but we might change that, or who knows if you guys are boring me, I'll put it on. But in general, I might throw AEW on Max because I don't have to download a torrent or look for a link. So that's cool.
Or, in my case, I just find the Xfinity, watch on demand thing, I just find it to be annoying and cumbersome. So being able to just stream it through my PlayStation and have an easier time fast forwarding it, perhaps.
Yeah, and if you were a person that was a WWE fan, I'm sure it's the same with Netflix, where if you wanted to watch it, it's easier to watch. I just have a hard time putting myself in the shoes of someone that wants to actively watch WWE live, though. So who knows what they're
Well,
thinking?
I found as an update for everyone, I found a YouTube account that just posts nothing but every single WWE and NXT women's match and segment. So the Brinley Reese Complete and Accurate 2024 is on track because I found where to watch every single Brinley Reese thing from 2024 without having to go through a whole torrent of shows. So that's what everyone else can look forward to in 2025. Me, typing the Complete and Accurate Brinley Reese with a gun in my mouth the entire time.
I'm so excited for that.
It's very good. It sounds lame, but I've mentioned it when this site first started. I am excited by the site and the community. I mean, the Discord. I mean, has me this Discord and this podcast has me watching way more wrestling than I would otherwise. If we didn't have this, a lot of what I would be getting would be still through Twitter, and that's awful. So, looking forward to maybe more people writing for the site next year. Let's get the Discord growing. We're pretty fucking big. Stay away, guys. But yeah, it excites me more about wrestling is having cool people to talk about it with and seeing people I don't agree with, but that they're passionate and that they make sense usually when they're talking. With 4 notable exceptions, we all know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, here's what I'm looking forward to.
Sam.
I'm looking forward to the GCW at Hammerstein Ballroom. I want to see it.
that's gonna I'm hoot of the year locked in.
People making fun of them. I think them promoting it on "We suck so bad last time, we're sorry." Hilarious. It got me.
And then the promotion turning into, and then we fucked up our relationship with AEW so badly that it somehow turned into Chris Jericho coming to our shows.
You couldn't write the stuff. It's so good.
I am in awe of. They announced no one from AEW can work any GCW show, so Ricky Starks gets all of his dates pulled, and then within 2 weeks, Jericho shows up on their show from the 14th. The Forbidden Door lasted just long enough to fuck over Ricky Starks. That was masterful by Tony Khan.
I think they're going to France too, and they're gonna have a show.
They're doing a show in England and a show in France after Hammerstein.
And that Banger Zone Wrestling, I don't follow them as much as I do the Reeks Catch promotion, but they use a lot of the same guys: Jack Sansnam, Jacob Vodkook. I don't know how to say his name. Those guys are pretty cool, so I would like them to get eyes on them that wouldn't normally look at them. I don't know that I want to watch. They haven't announced matches, but I'm sure it's going to be them wrestling someone like Joey Janela or Effie or Alex Price.
There are only so many people that GCW will fly to France.
Yeah, exactly. So it's I don't know that I'm actually going to like those matches, but I like the idea of them getting more eyes on them.
And from, if you believe the real GCW Truther account,
I do.
Yeah,
my
heart and soul.
They negotiated their 2025 deal with Triller, and it's half the money, but also half the shows.
Oh shit! That's a load off your mind.
Well, I had already committed to I'm not watching every single fucking GCW show in 2025, but just the knowledge that there aren't going to be 77 of them.
Listen, my dad always told me he'd get clean too. You know what I mean? I've been through this. I've lived with an addict. I know what it's like. You're gonna quit GCW. I get it.
I think I'm just going to become when they roll around to New Jersey, when they do the big weekends in Atlantic City, I'm going to become the GCW weekend warrior.
I like it. What about you, Chris? You got anything you're looking forward to in 2025?
Yeah, there's a few things like you mentioned AEW pulling the foot like Lucy in the football and AEW. Like I'm convinced this is the year they give Darby Allin the title. Because I was also convinced they were going to do that this year until they went with Danielson winning and then Moxley taking it. But
I got to say, I agree with you. I'm convinced that this is the year that Darby Allin will get the title, and I'm just as convinced that immediately after Darby Allin wins, Christian will cash in.
Why do you gotta do this to me?
And
do
then,
they at least get to have a full match?
Darby will get beaten up so badly by Kip Sabian that he has to go climb Mount Everest.
God damn it. So I want like a Darby Allin top guy run as a guy who has thought he's the best, one of the best wrestlers in the world for like a decade now. I'm excited. Like my game plan, which we'll see how this works out and how quickly I burn myself out on it, is once I get back, I am going to be like double dipping on January Lucha and what I have left to catch up on with 2024. But more so I'm excited to like get caught up with all of that. But more so I'm just excited. I really just want to get back into like, as much as I love watching my sleazy ass Zona 23s and IWRGs and all of that, I do want to just watch more American wrestling again. And especially, I have not watched anything from Japan this year. So I'm excited to, like, in 2024, I just want to have those days where I go like, hey, what's going on in New Japan? What's like, I am really excited for the return of Yuya Uemura whenever he comes back, because he seemed so exciting when he got hurt. And it seemed like New Japan had such big plans for him, and it was a huge shame when he got hurt during the G1, because he seemed like he was becoming the guy the company needed. And I want to see if he can pick that back up, because they need a homegrown guy like him. So I would absolutely love to see like a homegrown New Japan star come come back.
Speaking who also coming back in January though. Sadika. She announced on Facebook she's taking bookings for January. She's back.
Hell yeah.
She was out for like half the year with like various injuries and surgeries and stuff. So,
but speaking of Charlie Brown and the football, I'm going to watch so much wrestling in January.
That's the big thing I'm looking forward to.
Oh, I'm going to watch so much wrestling in January because we have the 2024 award shows. So I'm going to try to catch up on what people recommend in the match of the year, wrestlers of the year that I haven't followed. And at the same time, I do the same thing. I know I'm going to try to catch what's going on the Dome and on Wrestle Dynasty, and I will convince myself that I will keep it up throughout the year. Just watching so much wrestling. I won't, but like I really look forward to it.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what. I'm really excited to see what dog shit matches Skylar recommends for us in that Google Doc.
Oh, I keep pulling it up and like kind of like only looking at it with one eye, like what's going to be on here today. Nothing has upset me yet.
I haven't like put anything on there yet other than what's on my like very top tier of wrestling.
Yeah, I only put stuff that I could think of off the top of my head. I haven't really like dove in yet. I would like people to in the Discord, if you made this far in the show, like tell me who are the tag teams of the year. Who am I not thinking of?
We already have Darby Allin and Sting, so
that's the weakest
it's
category.
Like Darby and Sting and like 3 lucha tag teams.
I think it's all written down.
Yeah, I mean that was the thing. I thought about that hard and long, and I'm just kind of like, the problem with having watched nothing but like 87 JCW and GCW shows this year is that I haven't watched much good tag team wrestling.
I'm probably gonna add Sinner and Saint and something in Speedball, but it's not something or Speedball and something. It's not them, and I don't ever feel like I've watched enough of Sinner and Saint to fully like make their case. Like I don't when I'm the guy that writes it down, but from American tag teams that wrestled past the month of January, they're the only ones that pop in my head.
Actually, you know what? I'm
looking forward to more tag team wrestling.
I think in 2025, you guys were talking about like, oh, I'm going to give New Japan another shot. I'm not going to do that, but I think I'm going to give Big Japan another shot. I think 2025.
BJPW?
I'm going to go back to BJPW. I'm going to see what Freedoms has cooking. I think that I'm not going to try and catch up on 2024 because I just know that all that'll do is stress me out. But I think 2025, I'm going to dip a toe back into the Great Kajika's pool.
I didn't mention it. I did watch the Jacob Crane versus Nomura match this last week. It was 9 minutes of nothing. I just don't really know Jacob Crane that much, and I saw he wrestled a single match against Nomura. I was like, let me check it out.
I should make it clear, when I talk about Big Japan, I'm not going to watch any of the Strong Division.
No, I figured.
No, why would you do that?
Juniors. I'm going to be watching Madman Pondo versus Hideyoshi Kamitani in a all concrete blocks to the nuts shots match.
If you get a chance to watch Dale Patrick, you gotta, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know what I am going to this Yakuza riddled indie promotion for.
All right. Is there anything else you guys are looking forward to? Or that pretty much cover it?
I'm also looking forward to whatever happens next with Kota Ibushi. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm sure it will be funny.
Now, I'm going to say, as we're recording this, we did not ask for Wacky Line questions. But I felt like we had a bunch left over. Do we know where those are?
Got them. I got them.
Oh, okay. Do you want to throw them our way? I did not think about it till this exact moment. Like, we didn't fucking ask for it. Normally, we at least remember about an hour beforehand. But here we are, Wacky Line.
Let me just find.
Oh, you take your time.
So we left off on which TV show would you add Big Papa Pump to? And I think we all decided Sesame Street.
And that's why they canceled it.
So it's true. The Freaks and Peaks were not approved by the PTC. Eamon says, do any of you have a preferred body part to be targeted in a match?
I thought he was just like, what's our favorite body part?
I mean, yeah, what's your favorite body part?
I got an answer.
I'm going to say my preferred body part to be targeted in a match. It'll sound weird, the chest, just because I love stupid like chop and kick and that kind of things. I love those when they're done well, at least. So
Yeah, like
just light each other's chests up.
a good like chop exchange, like you think of like the Walter PCO match where they just look like raw meat by the end of it.
Yeah, there was a 2019 Mania weekend. There was a JD Drake versus Kazusada Higuchi match where they were just like ripping each other's tits off with slaps.
Yeah, that's a cool match.
That's a great match.
My answer is probably like the head. Like, give me Tanaka, Balls Mahoney, Mike Awesome, just like only hitting each other in the head. I'm here for that.
I like a smartly worked, like if you can like actually smartly work a leg, there's nothing like it. And
That was your takeaway from watching Will Ospreay versus Claudio.
yeah, Osprey, one of the smartest leg workers around.
See, I thought about leg, but then to me, it's like the leg has like maybe the highest ceiling and the lowest floor.
Yeah, but when it's good, there's nothing like it.
Yeah.
See, when I'm thinking of like chest and like neck, I guess I'm thinking of basically Shibata versus Ishii from the G1 in 2013, where it was like they just did nothing but throw elbows at each other's like neck and like trap muscles and kick each other in the chest. I'm like, that's all you need. You don't need holds. So anyway, our next question is from MPH Dog 4. Favorite song or album that you listened to this year? Doesn't have to be from this year, just one that you found this year. Do either of you have any music that from this year or that you have discovered this year that you want to make sure everyone rushes out to listen to?
I am like truly in my old man era as far as like new music goes. So I am listening to less actual new music released than ever, but I have listened to like a handful of albums from this year that I thought were cool, like the new Godspeed album I've listened to a lot.
That was good.
Like I don't think I'm surprising anyone like who who's familiar with like my vibe, that I liked the MJ Lenderman album. I thought that was neat. The new the last album from the late great rapper Ka is incredible. But yeah, I haven't listened to like a ton of like super new stuff, like the new Beth Gibbons album, like lead singer of Portishead. That's phenomenal, but didn't listen to a ton of new music from 2024 proper. As far as like discoveries go, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like what was like completely off my radar until this year. It's probably some like like 90s Memphis rap album that I had never heard until this year that I'm blanking on, but
Well, I think that people listening should just go out and listen to all of Memphis rap, especially the
that's
90s,
true.
the 90s cassette era when they were all just kind of like getting really into Satanism.
Yeah, the actual Memphis rap, and not like nothing wrong with like all of the stuff that came after, like that's heavily influenced by it, because like I was there for that I was in high school when like Raider Clan was blowing up on all of the mixtape websites. I was there. But you should go back and listen to 3 6 Mafia and Tommy Wright and uh, all
See,
of the
I think you should go
affiliates.
back and listen to the classics of the blog era, like Asher Roth. I think that I Love
I
College is due for a comeback in
I
2024.
I love college. I love drinking. I love women. I
Man,
love
that should be a
college.
wrestler. There should be a wrestler using that music in 2025.
There's gotta be. There's gotta be one.
Except I wouldn't buy that they actually went to college.
Yeah, I'm not as cool as you
Dan, you
guys.
got any?
I'm not as cool as you guys. I listen to a lot of the same way. I listen to stuff I listened to 20 years ago, like emo stuff. I listen to a lot of Taylor Swift because I'm around a lot of my nieces a lot, and Taylor Swift rules. I was vaguely aware of Nolan Taylor before this year, but I went from like knowing his name to being a big fan of him. That's probably my biggest discovery. Country singer out of Cincinnati. But that's the only one that pops out of my mind. I don't listen to a lot of new music. I mean, I listen to like the new Kendrick album, but like I don't think the human that needs me to tell them to listen to that.
Who's that?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, pretty niche.
yeah. I discovered this band I'd never heard of before called Radiohead.
Okay, kind of a silly name.
No, yeah, incredibly silly name. Um, no, 2024. I didn't listen to a lot of albums from this year because I wasn't finding a lot of stuff that um was connect. Like I would try stuff. Like I remember Ken Carson. I tried listening to Ken Carson. I was just like, okay, I'm officially old because I'm my reaction to this is a visceral, like, I can't believe kids like this. But the new Jamie XX album, I really enjoyed. It's called In Waves. I've listened to that a lot this year. And there's a compilation called Virtual Dreams 2. The full subtitle is Ambient Explorations in the House and Techno Age, Japan 1993 to 1999. That compilation came out this year. I've listened to that a lot. There's a Jay Spaceman record, the guy from Spiritualized. I listened to that. Anytime Tokisha puts out a single, I'll listen to that a lot. I don't think she has an album yet, which is a shame. And as far as stuff I discovered this year, I didn't really discover it this year, but I went back and listened to it a lot more, was the album Monster by Future. I don't know why that was stuck in my head. Like, I listened to it when it came out, and then I didn't really think about it for 10 years. And then this year, I was like, I want to listen to this 1 million times.
It happens sometimes.
Same with, I got into a big kick in the summer and fall of listening to like nothing but like Andrew Weatherall remixes, especially his remixes of Visions of You by Jaw Wobble and Sinead O'Connor. Great remixes. The original song doesn't do a lot for me, but the Weatherall remixes are beautiful. And beyond that, there's not a lot coming to me. Let me see what's the next question. It is Eamon, who asks, which wrestler would be the best guest star on an episode of Columbo as a killer?
As a kill?
As a killer.
Oh, as a killer.
Yeah, and I'm just going to go first. Obviously, the answer is Relic from TNA, but If you guys have your picks for silver medal, I'm open to hearing.
Ooh.
I'm kind of really.
I just
Can't
want
give
to
you
hear
a real
Columbo goes.
answer.
And just one more thing. Your name Relic. That is a killer spelled backwards.
That's tough
Yeah,
to top.
I'm trying to figure out like who would be the funniest person interacting with Peter Falk and being like really incredulous.
MJF.
I said good. I would get really mad at MJF on Columbo. I do not want MJF on my Columbo.
As a killer. What about Nick Gage?
I
What
think
do we
Nick
think of
Gage
Nick
would.
Gage's acting chops?
He, yeah. I've been watching a lot of
I think
Santo films, so him.
Yeah, that would be. As a killer, like he would never let himself be the villain.
Yeah, I guess that's
Like
true.
that was Santo would somehow book it so that this was the one episode of Columbo where it turned out Columbo killed someone.
I like just one more thing. You're actually innocent, and you saved all those orphans.
Yeah, it would have to be Santo teams up with Columbo against like Blue Demon, and somehow Blue Demon also wouldn't be the villain because he'd be mind controlled.
All right, so we all agree. MJF.
So,
it's Hulk Hogan. It's Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan doing like the WrestleMania 6 like sad boy face at like being called out. This question is also from Eamon. If Violent People put out this shirt and he linked a picture of the Kurt Angle "You Suck" shirt in 2024, who would be on it? And it's that shirt where Kurt Angle, like on the back, it was like, like the Taliban crossed out, stuff like that.
My instincts say Sam,
Yes.
but they might mean a wrestler.
I'm honestly not sure. I think he just wanted an excuse to show us this shirt.
That sounds like it.
I mean,
But
I'm going to say in 2024, if we did a Violent People shirt and it was an homage to any shirt from the classic era of wrestling, it would be the APA Always Pounding Ass shirt.
Now you say homage,
That's
you mean
true.
just a direct reprint.
A direct reprint, but with the little Violent People, Why Am I So Violent skull guy.
That's good. Maybe throw the website URL on there or something.
Yeah. Yeah, if there's one thing that people like, it's that a website that promises always pounding ass and that they're violent people.
I'm gonna put that on Reddit. We'll get some
It's
clicks.
fucking
We'll get some
locked
click
in
through.
Florida.
You got to verify your age before you can look at violent people.
We should put up we should get our website age verified. Just identity theft. Everyone.
Yeah, I was just thinking we have too many visitors to the site. We gotta cut it down.
Age verified violent people. There goes half of our Discord.
Oh yeah. Speaking of, Ducky asks,
Oh no.
favorite Wii Sports game?
Go to bed.
I don't think that was a Wii Sports game. Maybe
She asked this like 2 weeks ago.
Did she?
Did we answer it?
No. But when you said go to bed.
Oh,
So
Favorite Wii Sports game? I am going to say when you're throwing the frisbee to the little wee dog.
I'm gonna be honest. I spent a lot of time playing Wii Sports Bowling, so like that's a legit answer.
yeah, I think I don't acknowledge any of the Wii Sports resorts. It's got to be from the original Wii Sports, and it's got to be bowling.
Oh, if you answer like sword fighting on a bridge or some bullshit, I would freak out.
Hang gliding, come on, get real.
That's not real.
Henry Headcheese asks, what wrestler is the most fun say? Or what wrestler name is the most fun say? I believe he meant to say. Somehow I screwed it up in repeating it. But yeah, wrestler names. Which one is the most fun to say? I got to go back to classic JCW when Mean Mitch Page worked as Fat Fuck Barrel Boy.
Ooh, that's good.
Well, I don't know. If you made it to 30 episodes of the show, you know that I have both a speech impediment and I'm an idiot. So like I have a hard time with names, but I like Rob shit.
Rob shit is good.
Rob shit, and I'm just trying to think because there used to be like a lot of like deathmatch guys who just had like wildly stupid names. I don't know. I feel like this is a question that we should have had Tim on for, because he would have rattled off like 20 of the worst indie names you've ever heard, and he'd be like in DMs with all of them. Four Pillars asks, which member of the 2001 01 roster is most likely to commit an act of politically motivated crime?
That one is really tough.
I'm looking up 2001 01 roster to see if there's some joke here that I'm missing.
Um,
In case you guys know, like that,
all I
the
think
guy
of
who
is
shot Shinzo Abe was in 01 or something.
Well, last week
I'm
was right after they caught Luigi.
Yes.
oh, I'm going through the roster here. Oh, Mark Kerr is probably the answer.
I am going to say George Takano. I feel like he is someone, he's come out of retirement so many times. He's never quite made, I can see him, hitting age 70 and being like, all right, enough.
Oh, you know what?
I'm going to make the world remember me.
Hans Niemann has almost certainly actually killed someone for political reasons in the Netherlands.
Fair enough.
He died in like a drive-by shooting, right, or something. And like he
Yeah, I
worked.
think that was.
I don't want to besmirch his name, but I feel like he was in some shady shit.
I 100% buy that.
Yeah, Wikipedia says connections with William Hollander and other big names in the Dutch criminal underworld.
Yeah, that's our answer. I was gonna say Samoa Joe is going to commit some gamer violence.
Well, maybe it's wrestling politics, and he kills Jack Perry for getting rid of CM Punk.
What if it's Horseshoe?
Speaking of wrestling politics, this is random. I saw like a Facebook video. I never heard this story that Tracy Smothers, that Undertaker's making fun of Cloudy in WWF. It was like, some people will do anything for work. And Tracy Smothers says, yeah, how long you been dead now? Which I know, and Tracy Smothers said it was hilarious. And that he says that's what got him like blackballed. Like that ruined his WWF career. And I'm like, I believe that Undertaker's petty enough to like politic it Tracy out after that.
I mean, I was watching the Stevie Richards video about what happened with Chronic in WWF, and how like Taker was so angry during that one tag match at Unforgiven 2001 that he got them fired like the next day. And then he talked about, Also, I don't really have any insight into the Undertaker because the one time we ever had a conversation, it was because he was like Taker was like in shape, particularly in shape or something. And Stevie said, "Hey, you're looking good, Taker." And Undertaker's response was to, like bitch about like, "Yeah, my wife keeps hiding all like the fucking cookies and cake and shit."
Wrestling's
So
so funny because we've all had coworkers that have like ruined our days. Like I've had coworkers that have like really screwed me over either on purpose or with incompetence in my life. I've never been like, well, better get them fired.
yeah, I mean that was like because they fired Chronic, but they didn't fire Stevie Richards, who was their manager. So Stevie shows up at Raw, and like JR or whoever has to take him aside and be like, "So, just so you know, the Bryans have been fired. We're gonna figure out what to do with you, but you don't worry, you still have a job." Which somehow, coming from a wrestling company, it must sound like even less reassuring than
Yeah.
I made it sound there. Like that would send me into paranoia overdrive. Like being told, like, "Don't worry, you still have a job." Like,
I, I
okay,
actually
so I still have a job for the next 15 minutes.
I actually just told my family the story today. We were talking about getting in trouble at work. When I was a teenager, I worked at BJ's, which is like a Sam's Club. When they were going to write you up, the store manager would stand by the time clock because he knew you were going to grab your time card. Well, someone told me like, "Hey, you're getting written up for leaving early." So I just walked all the way around the store and just went and started working. And I guess like 2 hours go by, and he's just sitting by the time clock and he's calling my phone, but I'm at work. And finally, he gives up. I guess and he sees me like on my lunch break, and he's like, "How long you been here?" I'm like, "Oh, I started at 9." So he didn't clock in. I was like, "Oh my god, I forgot to clock in." And I guess at that point, he just was like, "Whatever." Didn't even write me up.
Sick. That's beast mode.
And I just love that story. Like little 16-year-old Dan's like, "Fuck you. You can't
That's how
find
you
me. I'm a
do it.
ghost." Yeah. You hear that, Ducky? You're 16. Hide from trouble.
I mean, you were also
Legitimately good advice.
you were also potentially cheating yourself out of money.
I used to all the time, which is probably what really should have me written up in that job. I would just not use my time clock. I would just write down what I worked, and somehow that was okay. The good old days.
I mean, it's as okay as like a manager is willing to punch it in.
I mean, that is how old am I? That's 20 years ago, so I'm probably making. I don't know if the minimum wage was $7 yet, or if it's still 5.25, but I'm making somewhere in that area. So there's not huge money on the line.
We only have a couple more questions. Let's see here. We only have one more question. It's from Tim, from our
Perfect.
sister podcast, QNTR. Uh, Christmas/winter drink preferences. You getting nogged? Vegan nog with booze? Winter spiced Sprite? PSL? What drink you fucking with on these long cold nights?
I like. I'm not like a nog all the time guy, but I will be imbibing on some nog next week. Some spiked nog.
Egg or
Eggnog.
you're
I
not going with
haven't
the vegan nog?
uh I'm no, I like eggnog. I've tried some vegan nogs. I haven't like nothing wrong with the concept, but I haven't had like a good one.
Yeah, I don't think I've had a vegan nog at all, but I'm intrigued by the idea of it.
I feel like the question wants me to say like an alcohol, but I'm really lame that I like drinking hot chocolate while looking at Christmas lights. Like that is nostalgic
No,
for
I
me. So
think
like
hot chocolate's a valid answer. I like a hot chocolate.
I think this weekend we're gonna look at the lights and I'm gonna bring hot chocolate. It's gonna be great.
Like a spiced or a spiked cup of coffee as well. Just
Oh
throw
yeah.
some like
Yeah.
some Baileys in there.
Well, that's just a work day.
So true, brother.
That's just another day clocking in at BJ's.
Yeah,
I was
clocking in
out.
at the BJ factory.
I was out
No,
to.
I mean that's the thing. I want to make fun of Dan about BJ's name, but I also worked at BJ's when I was a teenager. So
There you go. Everyone makes that joke, so like I don't even. It's like I don't even hear it. Like people would make that joke to me, like as I was a teenager in the store.
yeah,
And like
yeah, same.
old men would be like, oh, BJ's, huh? And like give you an elbow, and it's like, well, please don't.
I'm like, why are you winking at me?
Oh my god. But yeah, I lost what I was gonna say. I'm thinking about BJ's, I guess.
I'm thinking of BJPW.
Oh my god, I think I wrote BJW in the Discord, and I probably should have left the Discord. That was
Yeah, that was a real.
That was
I was just like, oh man,
I've never felt
huge
so
flub.
upset.
Huge flub.
but at the same time, it made me even more committed to like we can never get rid of this bot.
I see
Everyone
that
hates it except
I
like 3 people who are us.
I instantly have a notification. I don't have time to look at it, but I'm like, oh, someone replied to that right away. That's weird. And then like 4 minutes go by, and I open it, and I go, no.
So for anyone who's listening to this and not on the Discord,
Crazy.
that seems wildly implausible. But for as long as the Discord has been around, anyone who types BJW, there's a bot that automatically corrects them with BJPW and a giant image of the Big Japan logo. And it is such a stupid troll thing, but I love it.
It really it's. I created it on March. I just pulled it up on March 13th, so it predates a lot of the members of the Discord.
Yeah. Oh man,
And yeah,
and they all bitch and whine about it, and that just makes me like dig my heels in. Like, no, we need to keep this forever.
Well, it's slowed down, but there was a while
It'll
where
get
like once
it'll get really fun when I start watching BJW again. And I'm like, so let's talk about fucking Kamitani, everybody.
there was a while where once a week someone would like discover it and just flip out.
Yes. Shout out to
Uh,
Discord member Marilyn, who I think hates it more than she hates Hitler.
Well,
And I'm
I can
pretty sure
only
she hates Hitler a lot.
I would hope so. I can only say that at one point I think I told Sam I will leave the server before the bot. So I'm also a liar though, so
Oh,
what are you gonna do?
well, that's all we got for Wacky Lines.
Well, let's close it up here.
Close it up. We got Christmas coming up. We got the start of Hanukkah coming up. We've got Raw coming to Netflix. We've got all kinds of New Year's Eve indie shows. There's the Beyond New Year's Eve show. There's the GCW one, and we've got the togetherness that we all experienced in 2024 as a community of fans of what is both the dumbest and the best form of entertainment around.
Yeah, we won't be back till 2025, so I guess, happy holidays and thanks for listening.
Yeah. And it won't arrive in time, but there's still mugs, people. You can buy those motherfuckers.